Hello and welcome to this video. So, I've already made this video, but I'm doing a different format. But anyway, it's looking over my Gardevoir deck. Now, as I said, I've already made this video before, but then the day after I made it, so today, I made some pretty drastic changes to the deck. So, thought I might as well do the video again. So let's begin. First, we have the Drifloon. So Drifloon is... hang on, yeah, there we go. Actually, let's start with some of the main ones. So we have Ralts with Psyshot, which is 30 damage for Psychic Energy Carlos. The Ralts and the Curly here aren't the most important. They're mainly just to be able to evolve into this deck's main attacker, which is Gardevoir. Well, not main attacker, but what the deck is centered around. So, as you can see, it has the ability Psychic Embrace. It's often easy, like during your turn, you may attach a basic Psychic Energy from your discard pile to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you attach energy to a Pokemon in this way, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Now, that is useful, very useful, mainly because of attackers that are in this deck, like Drifloon and Screamtail. Drifloon has Balloon Blast, which does 30 damage for each damage counter on the Pokemon, so that's very obvious, you know, it triples, basically any damage on it is tripled and done to the opponent. Well, triple of it is done to the opponent. So that's very useful. Same goes for Screamtail. It has Roaring Scream. It doesn't do as much, it does 20 damage, but it's to one of your opponent's Pokemon, so, you know, it's beneficial if opponent's charging something on the bench and it can take damage, you probably want to do that. So, now, these, you know, 90 and 70 HP are still good. Like, if you put 50 damage on Drifloon, well, 60 because of how Psychic Embrace works. Let's say you put 60 damage on Drifloon, that would still be 180 damage. And for Screamtail, the maximum it can take is 80, so it would still be 160 damage. Both are good, but then we have Bravery Charm, which adds plus 50 HP to a basic Pokemon, or Luxurious Cape, which adds plus 100 HP to any Pokemon without a rule box, and you can see the benefit there. Screamtail can go up to 190, Drifloon can go up to 170, or if you just use Bravery Charm, then Screamtail goes up to 140, and Drifloon goes up to 140. Again, wait, that's not right. Drifloon goes up to 120, sorry. Anyway, that means you can get up to 100 on both, with no matter what you use. 100 damage on Drifloon would equal to 300 damage to an opponent, so that's very useful. And with Bravery Charm, it would be able to, with Luxurious Cape, it would be able to go higher. But with Screamtail, it can go up it could go up to, if you had a Bravery Charm and went up to its max of 140. Well, you'd have to go to 120, but if you went to 120 with it, it would do 240. To one of your opponent's benched Pokemon or the active Pokemon, so very beneficial. Next up is the Togepi line. We can skip over Togetic and Togepi because what we're looking for is Togekiss. Its ability Wonder Kiss means that when your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out, flip a coin. If heads, take one more prize card, and it has Speed Wing for 140. But Wonder Kiss is what you're looking for because, you know, if you can knock out the active, then it's an extra prize card. I mean, it's annoying if you knock out a Pokemon on a bench, because since it's not the active Pokemon, Wonder Kiss won't work, but still. It does have the benefit that unlike most things that are triggered by knockouts, it doesn't depend on you knocking your opponent's Pokemon out. So for example, if the Pokemon does damage to itself, and knocks itself out in the active spot, it will be a knockout. But you won't... yeah, they won't get the extra prize card. You won't get the extra prize card if the Pokemon is knocked out on the bench at all. Anyway, next up is Monkey Dory. Now this is the most recent, one of the most recent additions. If it has Mind Bend for 60, but it confuses opponent. But what we're looking for really is Adrenabrain. Once during a turn, if this Pokemon has a Dark Energy attached, you may attach up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. In a deck that relies so much on damage via Psychic Embrace, it's good because then you could, for example, move 30 damage, well, move a couple of 2 energy onto a Pokemon with Psychic Embrace, adding 40 damage to it, but then move that damage away if it doesn't benefit from it, leaving it with only 10 damage. Technically, you could also use this as a very complicated way to get Drifloon and Screamtail onto higher damage, because, for example, how Drifloon with a Bravery Charm would only be able to go up to 120, you could bring it up to 110 by taking 10 damage off of it, and then adding another 20, but that's besides the point. Next up is Mew EX. It has its ability Restart. Once during a turn, you may draw cards until you have 3 cards in your hand, which is beneficial sometimes, although it's slightly niche use. Then there's Genome Hacking for 3 colorless. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. That can be very useful. Serendipity EX. We don't really talk about its move, it's mainly just used for its ability Flip the Script, which once during your turn, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you may draw 3 cards. You can't use more than one Flip the Script ability each turn. That's beneficial, just because it helps you maybe find a way to take the lead if your Pokemon is knocked out. There's Budew, Itchy Pollen for no energy. Does 10 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards in their hand. This isn't very good for damage, but it's very good if you want to just stop your opponent from using items until the Pokemon's knocked out. Then we have Iono. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. If either player put any cards at the bottom of their deck in this way, each player draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. The use for this is quite obvious, I think. Yeah. It just works as a good way to reset hand, and if your opponent has been maybe like taking some evolutions to put into the hand, it's a good way to reset their hand. Same goes for Professor's Research. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. It doesn't affect your opponent's hand, but it can be very beneficial if you want to. Well, it can be very beneficial just for not only resetting your hand, but also if you have any psychic energy in your hand, it can be good to move it into the discard pile so that you can psychic embrace it back. Arven, search your deck for an item card and a Pokemon tool card, reveal them and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Just good for looking for things like Luxurious Cape, or stuff like Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, Rare Candy. We have Jacques, search your deck for up to 2 evolution Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Just good for searching for stuff like Togekiss or Gardevoir, or even just like Curlia or Togetic if you can't find Rare Candy to skip. Skip some evolutions. Next up is Poppy. Move up to 2 energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. Now, I'm surprised that I haven't seen this deck. I don't see this card used in the general tournament Gardevoir decks, because if you have something like Drifloon or Screamtail where you are using Psychic Embrace to get damage up, it'll have more energy than it needs on it. So using Poppy would surely be a good opportunity to use some of that spare energy, move it to a Pokemon that might need energy, and it doesn't do damage unlike Psychic Embrace. You can use this card only if you discard 2 other cards from your hand. Search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And this is good, obviously, because it lets you search your Pokemon, but also because, similar to Professor's Research, you can use it to discard some Psychic energy. Then we have Nest Ball, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, just normal stuff. Rare Candy, now this is one that's really good because of the amount of evolutions here. Well, the amount of stage 2s, specifically. There's the Gardevoirs and there's the Togekiss. So you want Rare Candy so you can skip the stage 1 and get to there quicker. Which is especially good because in this deck, it doesn't properly start until you get Gardevoir on the bench. So, keep that in mind. Then we have Counter Catcher. You can do this card only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. The use for this is obvious. It's like Boss's Orders, but you have to have less cards, you have to have more prize cards than your opponent, but it has the benefit of being an item rather than a supporter. Next up is Night Stretcher. Put a Pokemon or a basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. It's good if you have like I think the main use case would be for Pokemon, because unless you're looking for Dark Energy, just because most of the time you want to keep the Psychic Energy in the discard pile, I find. But you never know. Then there's Earthen Vessel. You can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. I think that is just very useful if you're looking for cards, and while you're searching for those energy, you can also discard a Psychic Energy. A lot of opportunities to discard here. Super Rod. Shuffle up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. I think that is just beneficial. You know? Like, if you're just... yeah, if you desperately need energy, or if you just want to... move some Pokemon back, you know. And there's Prime Catcher. Now, yeah, I do plan on replacing this with Secret Box, because it's used more in the Gardevoir deck, but I don't own Secret Box yet. So for now, it's Prime Catcher. Switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. If you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Very useful, I find. It's just good if you need to very quickly swap the positions. We've looked over Bravery Charm and Luxurious Cape. So you have Artisan. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and put it onto their bench. Then that player shuffles their deck. Good, you know, in general. 11 Psychic Energies then, and 2 Dark Energies. Now, I find that I've looked at some of the tournament decks, or at least the average tournament decks, and most of them use like 7 Psychic Energies. But I feel like keeping a high amount of Psychic Energy isn't that bad, especially since this is still a powerful deck. So yeah, that's about it. I do need to experiment more with this deck, but I hope it ends up well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.